the $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast. Welcome to today's podcast. We're here with LaDonna Lockard. She is the CEO of Maximum Acceleration, the premier provider of mortgage education, where originators go to put their career in high gear. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. You came all the way out from Utah.
I did, and I would do it again. I love it here.
California is great, right?
It's the best.
Utah's great too, though.
Utah is stunning in a different way. It's like Bob Ross stunning.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, to just have that California air, the ocean right here. I could try all I want in Utah. I'm not going to have the ocean right there.
So any excuse to come to San Diego, you're good with that.
I'm good every time.
Awesome. Well, tell us your story about how you got into this business and how you got in, started your company.
Yeah. I mean, I jumped in, God, it's been 20 years now, which I hate saying that because I feel like I finally hit that point where people no longer question me on it, where they're just like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I started in title insurance, and I started as a document runner.
Okay.
That's how long ago it was, right? Like we had to run our documents to and from for closings, and just worked my way up, moved into receptionist, then an escrow assistant. From there, I had a company that came to me and they were like, we think you'd make a great marketing rep. Cool. And I was like, cool, yeah, I get to take people to lunch every day. Sign me up, right?
Budget and then,
yeah, like let's do this. So I did that all the way through the recession. Of course, the recession exploded my book of business.
Wow.
There it went. So I jumped into property and casualty insurance for a little bit. And then my sister made her way to a mortgage education company.
Okay.
And she called me up about 6 months into her buying in. And she was like, hey, we're starting up this new department, but we don't know how to sell it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
She was like, it's compliance. I was like, okay, what does that mean? She was like, we don't really know yet. It's like, okay, perfect. So jumped in with them. I ended up being with them for almost 12 years. And when that company sold earlier this year, I had the opportunity to move over and start up a competing company. And now we're just running with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So whenever mortgage brokers need to get education, usually they go to the regular thing that they get their emails from, they get the marketing from, and then you just started something up. And how's that been going? Amazing.
We are primarily live right now. We're building out our online, we're building out our webinar options. All of that takes time.
Yep.
It is a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy. And there's so much that goes into it from the NMLS side of things.
Yep.
But that's okay. We're up for it. We're up for the challenge. I love live events.
Yep.
I love interacting with people. I love having the opportunity to connect other people with really cool people. So live for me was a no-brainer. And we ended up getting a company that puts on live mortgage shows all over the nation. So contracted with them immediately and have done all of their shows thus far since starting up Maximum.
So you're like a bolt-on to the conference or whatever?
Yes, exactly. I like to think of us as the main event. Naturally, they think of them as the main event, but it's okay. We can share the spotlight. So yeah, it's going phenomenally well though. I mean, it's been really cool to get people into live events again.
Yeah.
I know it's so easy for people to want to just take the easy way and do it from their laptop while they're just hanging out, checking other emails.
Right.
But the amount of feedback and reviews that we're getting where people are telling us that this is the best live class that they've ever been to, I mean, that's what fuels us. That's what keeps us going. And getting to just really connect with people has been the best.
Do you still have to take a test at the end, or how does that work?
No, I know. Isn't that the best?
Yeah,
the best.
Better.
We can see you there. We know you're participating,
right.
So we don't have to do the test. We have little knowledge checks throughout, but no test in a live class.
I hate tests, so I think that's better.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people do. Like they kind of freeze up over tests. I'm a test taker. Mm-hmm. That's like my jam. I don't know why. I've never studied for any of my professional exams, and I can just test
Just retain information.
Yeah. Yes. But I get it. Other people don't. Yeah. They freeze. So
if you're paying attention, it's pretty easy. But if you're just sort of doing it with your emails and you're back at the, I do it. So I just am like, oh gosh, and then you have to look it up or whatever. And then, I didn't just admit to, cheating, but
no.
I think, we all kind of do some level of that. But like if you go live, I guess there's other benefits too, because you get to meet people and network and things like that. So I could see it being, do you guys make it fun?
Oh, the funnest. And I know like no one thinks that CE is ever going to be fun.
Yeah.
Fun, engaging. Those are like the two biggest buzzwords that people leave us on our reviews, because we collect information at the end of class of what did you think of this?
Yeah.
What did you think of this event? What can we do better? And that really is the biggest feedback that we get, is that people had fun.
Had fun. Yeah. That's cool. What's happening in the new education? Like I know every time you learn a little bit about fraud, you learn a little bit about other stuff. Like I think fraud has picked up a little bit, right? Like
it has.
And is there some new laws that you can share with us about like fraud or anything that's up and coming?
It's ever revolving. Cybersecurity is such a huge deal and hot topic.
Yeah.
And that just will be, given the nature of the way that we do everything now. Yeah. So cybersecurity is huge. That's our 1 hour elective this year is actually on cybersecurity. And it's so wild the way that AI is shifting the way that we're doing everything.
Yeah.
The amount of just phishing scams.
So many.
It's wild. And the amount of people that fall for them. I'm
like, haven't you learned after 5 years of this?
Right? Yeah. But they don't. They don't. So we have to keep teaching it every single year.
What's the biggest phishing scam right now?
Oh, God, I don't even know. Deep fakes are growing like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they get good at like looking like an escrow company or looking like, they're part of the group of emails that's happening, and then they want you to wire the money here, and you just like you have to wire it somewhere anyway. So it happened to us even. We one of our investors that was buying our loans, we got like an email from them, and it just slipped through the cracks and we wired some money. Thankfully we got it back, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah. Hopefully you got it back, because most people don't. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's out there. Yeah. I'm a realtor as well. Don't do a lot now. But that was always something like an upfront conversation that I would have to have with people as we were getting up to the closing point of like, do not trust anything that you see. Like, call me to verify everything.
Absolutely.
Because you just never know. So,
and with deep fakes, they could call you and it sounds just like your voice, and then even a FaceTime, they can copy you, and it's
how
scary.
Weird is that? Like, what a wild world that we're living in. That now that's an option, where it used to be that video was like the end all be all.
Yeah, like you can't fake your smile and all your different interaction. Yeah, but they can do it.
They can,
especially with like I have 100 and something podcasts. They could copy it all and then just make a version of me.
Absolutely. It's
Please
wild.
Don't do that.
Right? I know I've been very careful and very cautious even with what I'll put out there of my child, because I'm like, I don't want that being used against her, against me in some sort of situation. And we see that.
Yeah.
So just being mindful. I don't even know. I wish I had better advice when it came to deepfakes. So I really don't. Like, they're there.
You just have to put extra layers of protection. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just, texting is still probably fine as long as you know the number's third party independent or whatever. It's not like just on the email, right? You look them up and then it's like the official website, and it's,
I'm seeing a lot of people moving over to like WhatsApp, right? Mm-hmm. For the security purposes. But again, I don't know. And
WhatsApp is more international, so it might even be worse. I don't know. I would say worse, but someone's going to invent something that's better.
You would hope.
You'd hope.
You would hope.
After
Everyone just
millions of dollars.
Get your iPhone so that we can all make sure that we're at least somewhat a little more protected.
Right.
I don't work for Apple, by the way, but they are a little bit more secure. So it's better than just typical SMS messaging.
Yep.
But yeah, it's weird. It's a wild time out there.
It is.
I don't know what it's going to do other than just get crazier. And I feel like regulation wise, now states are finally really saying like, wait a second, we didn't jump on this fast enough.
Right.
What is that going to end up doing? What regulation are they going to end up putting in place? Are they too late? I mean, how do you put that genie back in that bottle?
Right.
So, and not stymie the growth, because AI is really cool and it can do a lot. It can automate a lot of process. But again, there's always going to be a kind of
like
default.
You got one side doing, this kind of thing, and then the other side trying to defend it, and it's a war. It's kind of like an online war that people are trying to fight, and there's it's like the new pirate, right?
I like that. I like that. The new piracy. That really is it. That really is it.
And there's a lot of money at stake, so it makes sense that they'd go after that.
They always will. They'll find the money.
What other electives do you guys offer?
Right now, that's it. Well, I should say other than states. So most states have their own requirements that they want people to take state-specific education.
Yep.
So we're building that out. And then by 2025, the goal is to have all CE. Mm-hmm. It's so much education. By the time everything's said and done, I think we're looking down the barrel of like 150 classes. So it's a lot. And that's just between pre-licensed education, continuing education. That's not even jumping into the compliance world, which eventually I hope we'll make it into.
Yep.
But it's a lot.
That's your background, right? Compliance.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Whether I wanted it to be or not, that became my background.
Make it not sleepy, because compliance is so sleepy, but it's so important.
It is. It is. And there's only so much that you can do to really glamorize it.
Right.
That's one of the constant battles that I feel like I'm always running up against is when I branched out, when we started up this new venture, I cleaned my social media because I was like, I just want to focus on this. Let's see what I can do with this. It has been the slowest slog to try to grow it again. Because I'm like, no one cares about mortgage education. Like, you want to talk about the most niche of the niche.
Sure.
There's really no way to make it sexy. There's no way to make it fun. It's just kind of, well, here it is. Let me see what we can do with it. Right. So now we're trying to take a little bit more of an informative approach of what can we teach you about? Yeah. How can we inform you? What changes are coming about? My partner, who is primarily our instructor when we're on the road, he was an originator, the best of the best. This guy is the most well-researched industry expert that I've ever met.
What's his name?
Brandon Christensen.
Okay. Shout out to Brandon.
There's a shout out to Brandon. That's my homie. That's the guy who keeps me sane right now. Yeah. But he is so passionate about education and about information and how to inform his consumers. So now he's parlayed that into how to teach other originators in a way that makes them actually care, that might help them go out, win a deal, if nothing else, impress a borrower with the information that you have. So it's been amazing to watch his brain at work.
Yep.
Because you better believe things roll out and he is on it. Whereas I'm kind of more in the background, operational, wanting to actually get the business up and going.
Right. And
he's just delving in and nerding out on all things regulation. That's cool. It's been a good balance.
So I guess if anyone can be passionate about it, this guy's passionate about it, and that helps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not something I'm passionate about. I know it's necessary, right? You have to do it, and you have to get that education by a certain date, and then, upload or do all this stuff with the NMLS.
Go renew those licenses.
It's like it's a pain, but we all do it every year, and it all comes up. It's coming up quick here in November, right? So,
November 1st is when the renewal period opens up.
And I carry I don't even know, 10, 15 licenses. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of education that you're having to take.
Yeah.
It's not the funnest. It's just not. Traditionally, it hasn't been.
Yeah.
So if we can put it to people in a way that will actually help them get business and maybe grow because of it, that is what we're looking to do. That is our goal. That is the approach that we want to take.
That's cool.
I feel like now I'm nerding out on the business side of things, and we're probably losing everyone because they're just like, no one cares that much about mortgage education.
Well, tell us a little bit about what makes the event exciting.
Okay, sure. One, networking, right? You never know who you might meet. You never know who you might connect with.
Sure.
And that has been, networking is the thing that changed my career for sure.
Yeah. You got to get out of your comfort zone, get out of your regular day-to-day routine, and then go. I'm a big believer that all your best opportunities come when you're out doing stuff. If you're behind your computer, there's no opportunities except for what's going to happen to you and you're going to react to. But you're going to put yourself in a way better chance of having more opportunity when you're around people. Some of my podcasts, I'm like, you're in an elevator, you're at a coffee shop. Most people are all sitting on their phones. How much better is it if you can be around people, especially like-minded people, that could enhance your business?
Totally.
Why not do it?
Right. People, I think, get so scared to talk to other people. And it blows my mind. Like, I am not that way. I am a true extrovert. I was walking through the airport last week in Salt Lake. And as I'm going through security, I noticed this group come in too, and they've got a bunch of private. By the way,
great security, easy, the best airport ever. I've been through there a few times.
It's a dream.
It's so much better than, San Diego's terrible.
It's
Salt Lake, it's like they have it down perfectly how they get you through TSA. I'm like, wow.
It's so great. Yeah. So great. So see this group come through. We end up kind of linking back up again together. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking over at them, and they've got Delta security around them. And I'm like, okay, hold up. I do not blend in with this group of 8 men. So I make a joke to them where I'm like, do you think the security's going to notice that we don't fit in together? And they're like, yeah, I think they're going to notice a few key differences. It was the band Outcast.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea. Just walking along, decided to start chatting them up. We ended up hanging out in the lounge together, and then I ended up getting an open invitation to any Outcast show and got numbers, the coolest, right?
Right.
So
that would have never happened if you didn't just, say a joke or just make a comment or open yourself up to conversation.
Exactly. I think too many times people do get stuck in what they know. They get stuck in what's convenient. They get stuck in just kind of being afraid to go somewhere, maybe even alone.
Right.
And there's so much opportunity out there. There are so many cool people out there. Some of my favorite people, some of my best friends are people that I've met on the road. Yeah. So, get out there, go network, go see the things.
So is Outcast now playing at your events?
Yeah, I'm going to try. I don't think I can afford them, but I'll pull some strings. I do think too, people underutilize connecting with different vendors.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, going back to the automation conversation, right?
Yeah.
So much has changed over the last few years, and there are so many processes that now can be automated. If you don't know what you don't know, you're not seeing those opportunities. Why not get out there and see what is available so that you can better utilize your time? We all only get so many hours in a day.
Right.
I like to utilize mine in the best way possible. So if something can be automated, I'm all about it. Meeting those vendors, seeing what else is out there, seeing if there are different programs that you're not considering. Talk about a prime opportunity non-QM. everything right now, I feel like, is non-QM or DSCR. You have to be seeing a lot of that. What are you kind of seeing right now?
That's all we do is non-QM.
Right.
Yeah, we don't do any Fannie, Freddie, Govy, nothing, just non-QM.
Yeah.
And there's times when, like during COVID, it was tough because, there was no buyers for non-QM. So we really didn't have any loans to make, but everyone wanted our loans, but there just was no buyers. But, we just have put our flag in the ground saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it the best we can and the best in the business, make sense lending. And it's worked out for us. Yeah.
Did you ever do conventional or government or
I did, yeah.
Okay.
In my career, but it's just boring.
Yeah.
It's just boring. It's like an assembly line. I mean, when the rates are great, it's great business. It's great money. But, if you want a long, sustainable business, then non-QM is really the way. Because people are always looking for money. Business owners are always looking to recapitalize, to pay their IRS payment, to buy property. It's just an ongoing business regardless of what the rates are.
Why do you think people are so apprehensive to trying it? Because
it's just new and different and hard. Yeah. People don't like hard stuff. They like easy. They want to take the easy path. But if you get good at non-QM, you can be, there's less competition because if you find yourself, as an expert in non-QM, then you become one of those people that people refer business to, and they are very thankful for your loan. So I find it as I think government loans and non-QM it's kind of a thankless business. You don't really even make a true client for life. You can, for sure. But if you're doing non-QM, you can truly make clients for life that come back and refer you more and more and more and tell everyone about you if you do a good job. So I always like that side of the business. I mean, I did subprime in the early days, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and people always were so thankful that you got them a loan because they couldn't get a bank loan. And then, it just feels good to be that person that helped them get into that house. And they'll always call. I have clients call me still, and I don't even do loans now, but they'll call me 7 years later.
Wow.
I haven't changed my number in 20-something years, and they still have it. They stored it. Then they'll refer me business, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to refer this out to one of our LOs or whatever. But it's a great side of the business.
I mean, that's so interesting. So you mentioned that they're hard.
Yeah, they're hard. Harder. If you get good at it, it's not hard.
Well, and this industry right now is hard.
Yeah.
It just is. I don't know that it's going to be easy again. Yeah. I mean, for so many years, I think people got so used to loans just falling in their laps.
Yep.
And then when the market turned, all of a sudden it became, you have to fight for everything. You're fighting for less deals because there's just so many less out there.
And people will go to competitor for a $200 fee that's waived, or for a, barely anything different. And you're just like, what? I thought we were friends. And you just went off here for, the guy gave you, maybe a 0.1% better rate, and it just, there's no stickiness to it. And it's very assembly line. I just don't like that side of the business.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, with non-QM, because you guys here are in such a different market than I feel like so much of the rest of the U.S.
Yeah.
What do you do? Are you so referral based now that you're just able to let those referrals come in?
We're wholesale, so brokers come to us, and so we just do the best job we can and really try to be a partner with the broker so that they like the process with us. And if there's a little, something that falls off the rails a little bit, and it makes sense still, we'll still approve it. We'll still do it. And that's helped brokers continue to come back to us versus, we don't deal directly to consumer.
Right.
So it's different, but I think people like working with a team that has your back or feels like you're on their team, and you're not just another loan in the system, Yeah. That's what we try to focus on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. That's a very different approach. So I don't think there are a lot of people who could necessarily pull that off. I kind of feel that way sometimes with education too, where I'm like, this industry is not for everyone and not everyone could pull this off. Yeah. So you have to be willing to find the things that really speak to you. Otherwise, you're going to burn out really quickly. Yeah. And I think right now, especially, people they're having to really discover how much they love this industry or not.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of people fall out. Do you have some of that data where like who's stayed in the business? Because in your field, if they're not doing education, they're probably not staying in the business.
No, for sure. We do, and I don't love to quote it for a couple of reasons, because so many people are like you, right? You mentioned that you have 10, 15 different states that you're licensed in.
Yeah.
Just because you drop a state or two, it doesn't mean that you are out of the business.
Sure.
So we see some of that when
I would think
things
people would
shift.
be adding states to try to get more business.
You would think so. You would think so. But even just like those $400 fees that they set for renewals, that's enough if people haven't done a loan in that state. They're like, oh, okay, is this really worth it? And they'll just drop it. But I do think it's completely worth it to expand and to get outside of your market. It can be scary. And I think people, again, they don't like to do hard things. Now they have to go find new leads and new referral partners in these other states that maybe they're not even familiar with their market.
Right.
So it's hard. It's a balance.
True.
And I think with people really trying to dig a little deeper right now, just trying to figure out what they're even going to do to stay afloat for the next couple of months. I don't know. It's a weird time. Weird time. I know it's so hard to say and so hard to look into a crystal ball. And I feel like we all thought that
I have one right
do
over
you?
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. I think so many people expected rates to come down this year.
Yeah.
And to have them just kind of stay floating where they're at has been really discouraging for a lot of people. And with the election coming up, there's just no telling how that's going to turn things, if it even turns them at all.
Yeah. Well, election years are chaotic. They have been in the past, right? So we've seen some chaos a little bit this time around, and I predict that there'll be more chaos between now and the election date, But and a lot of volatility. The rates are kind of coming down a little bit, but then it's like you just don't know. And then the Fed is saying probably September. So we're thinking we should have some good path forward with some lower rates coming up, which we're fired up for. We think it's going to continue to grow. And just the problem is these listings are at historic lows. So the real estate market is super slow, like even slower than we are. And there's just not a lot of transactions happening. So it just creates you got to look for those refi deals. You got to look for those hard deals. And then if you're not willing to do the hard, then you're not going to have business. So
it's true.
Yeah. Talk about like your event. So your events are fun, more fun than just sitting at your couch doing your laptop. What are some highlights of some stuff that's happened on the road with, some brokers?
So many cool things. Like I said, to get the reviews from people saying that this is the best class that they've ever been to has been huge for us.
But what makes it that?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. We create a very warm and welcoming environment. And
Give coffee, donuts, like what do you...
throw in some beignets if we're in the South. No, we really take the approach of getting to know people. So I make an effort. Like I said, I've been to every single one of our classes, and my whole positioning there is to just kind of play the accompaniment. So I walk around for the entire class and keep people engaged. And I'm very tactile, as you've seen. I've like hit my mic, and you'll probably have to edit out all of the sounds of me strumming on the couch. I'm very tactile, and I'm very touchy in our classes, which sounds so strange. And I'm always like,
But it makes it personal, maybe.
Yes. And I'm willing to disclose that approach because I'm like, not everyone can get away with that.
Yeah.
But I warn people up front, like if I see you on your cell phone, I'm going to come over. You're going to feel my hands on your shoulder. And if it keeps going, you're going to feel my arm around you. And on that third warning, I'm going to give you a real sweet hug, and I'm going to tell you I like you so much, but I'm just afraid this isn't going to work out. And people are so receptive to that. I think just like going back to how non-communicative and non-physical that we become with each other, people are really feeling that in a post-COVID world.
True.
And I get it. I mean, I've had COVID more than any other person that I've ever known. I just had it 2 weeks ago for the 13th time.
Did you get her tested before she came?
Yeah, right? We swabbed. Okay, we made sure I was in the clear. I'm in the clear. But I think that created a lot of fear in people.
Yeah, people were afraid of that.
Yeah. And so they stopped being so affectionate with each other, and they stopped wanting to give hugs and to just embrace each other. And by the end of our classes, I'm not kidding, like people are hugging us, they're hugging each other. It's just a very communal environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it's not something that I had ever seen happen in any of the classes that I had been a part of. I don't even know why that started to become a thing with us. It was just our very first class, walking around and kind of hanging on to people and warming them up. And then the next thing I know, Brandon's doing it. And then people are grabbing him. And it just became this really sweet just approach that people have warmed right up to. Yeah. So I would love to say that we have like really cool lasers or something that just wows people, but it's not that. It's just, I think that
human to human connection.
Yes. Yes. Cool. Allowing people the opportunity to really find each other, and then learning from a true industry expert. Yeah. Because I've seen plenty of instructors who they like to think that they're industry experts, and they're not. Yep. Brandon really is an industry expert, so much so.
Do you have Q&A and all that too?
The whole thing is open,
nice.
Open Q&A. If you have a question, we want to hear it. And he's very good at encouraging that and saying, you know, guys, look, I'm here to learn from you as much as you are to learn from me. So people bounce questions off of each other and off of him, and they have scenarios that they're going through that now they have this entire classroom of people's experience that they can draw from.
That's cool.
I do think, too, people get really nervous to ask when they are in their office. Yeah. They get nervous to ask things because they're afraid it's going to look like they don't know.
True.
Maybe they're not competent at what they do. Mm-hmm. But you put them in a room full of strangers and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, okay, I got a question. I got a scenario I could use some help with.
That definitely sounds better than just sitting and getting taught, you know, from a computer. I hate, like, I mean, I'm definitely learning a lot from, you know, seeing videos of just in life, because there's a lot of information out there that you can get online. But, you know, when it comes to mortgages, it's like, that's the most boring type of information. So you're not excited about it. But if you go to a class, it could get a little bit, especially if you're hearing experience shares from people, you know, all around and, you know, what they're seeing. Do you go to so you're going to different cities? Mm-hmm. So what have you seen in your road tour? Like what's working, what's not working in the loan business right now?
I would say, I mean, it's so hard to even try to pinpoint what is working.
But you said non-QM, right?
Yeah, non-QM. Okay, so being willing to actually get out there and discover what other programs are available, maybe that are outside of your comfort zone.
Does Brandon talk about that much?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
You're not just getting education, you're getting like continuing ed, you're getting some origination education too.
1,000%.
And stuff like that.
He was a top originator in Washington, and hallelujah, got sick of having money or something. I don't know. I'm just glad that he
tired of the borrowers or whatever it was.
Whatever it was. Yeah. Hallelujah. He decided to take a chance on me and come over and do this. But there's so many people who I think are afraid of reverse mortgages.
Yep.
They don't want to do them for whatever reason. They scare them. They're hard.
They take a while. You got to do education for the borrower. It's just like, it's like second mortgages. We do seconds, and that's like the perfect product right now. But we started it, I think, August of, do you remember the day? 22. It took like 6 months for it to catch on. And it was the best product because everyone had 3% and 4% rates. And all of a sudden, people are like, I don't want to do the work for a $300,000 or $150,000 second. Like, I'm going to get paid $1,000. I don't want to do all this work. But it's like once they started doing it, their clients were so appreciative. They kept touch with their client, and now they gave them what they needed. And they're going to come back to them when they go to do the big refi and consolidate the two. But I think it just people were exhausted and they're like, this is not what I want to do. But it's turned around. But I was so surprised that loan originators didn't jump on that like earlier on when there was no business. There was like zero business. And we're like, here's a second. We were the first ones to come out with it. And for like 6 months, no one else had it. And we were like, where are the loans? Like where? And finally the brokers started catching on and it just became a big flood of business. But now they're all like, everyone's doing seconds, it's like the thing. And then I think reverse mortgages are huge because of the big, aging population and people wanting to tap into the historic equity that they have. And so non-QM business owners, they don't care what the rate is. They're like, I just need the cash. I got to keep my business going. I got to expand my business. It's a huge opportunity. I don't want to give away equity to my company. I'd rather just borrow against my house. So that's where the business is.
Yeah. The opportunities are out there. Yeah. Not to say that they're not, but they're just dirty. It's gritty. You got to get in there.
Roll up your sleeves a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. People don't want to do that though. They don't. Thankfully, I think those who are left, they do. And they're willing to.
Because they've probably been through a cycle or two. And, the ones that are newer to the business have the big easy run are like, I'm going to go off and work somewhere else and do something else. And
I know. I wonder what they're going to do, though. I can't help but wonder that every time
they're certainly not making as much money. That's for sure.
Right. Like this industry can be so phenomenal if you can work it right.
Yeah.
But it does take time and determination. And for a lot of people, say goodbye to your nights and your weekends.
Yep.
But if you're willing to do it, you can make what a doctor makes and
more.
That's pretty good. That's not bad for not having to go through the same amount of education. And like we think 8 hours of education is rough every year. Like that's a small price to pay to
CPAs
be able to make
and
that.
doctors, they all have to do a lot, maybe more. I don't even know, but I know it's every big industry has to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you have to do it. You have to stay on top of your craft. You have to know what's out there. You have to know. And I think knowing what your competitors are doing too.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I would say competition wise, that is a really cool element of getting there live too, is hearing what your competition is doing. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. But it might spark an idea in your head. And then next thing you know, you're able to parlay that into something.
Right.
So, I don't know, sometimes checking out your competition is a great way to go about it.
And you always have to try to be better because like every day we're getting worse as we age. So if you're not trying to combat that to be better, it's like you're going downhill. So you just always have to be looking for ways to be better. Always have to look for ways, new ideas, new things, new advantages, new strategies. Otherwise, you're just going to fall behind for sure. You're going to be lost.
Absolutely. I want to kind of unpack that with you a little bit, though, because you said as we age, we get worse. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Like, I'm looking to just keep getting better and better. Yeah.
Sorry. It's true, though. I mean, my son and I just went hunting, and he's 18, and I'm 51, and I can't run like I used to. I can't hike up, ravines and be quiet and not huff and puff like, he can easily do it. So it's very true. It's a true thing.
All right.
Well, I mean, I guess there's people like David Goggins that are like, whoa, like he's an anomaly. And you can become that if you work your ass off. But so I think there are ways that we're getting better. Like maybe it's just not physically, but you can still keep, as much as you can. You have to work hard at it. But it's brutal. And it never gets easier the older you get. It's always going to get harder.
Yeah. Competition's going to get younger.
Yep.
Technology's going to come along. You have to be willing to actually adapt and evolve.
You have to do things to get yourself energy because those younger people are going to have way more energy naturally, but maybe they won't have the work ethic or they won't have the grit that you have. So you can still have an advantage over them, especially these days with the weakness that's happening in the world. People are getting weaker just as far as like, they don't have to make their own food. They don't have to go anywhere to get stuff. The groceries can be brought to you. It's like we've all become a little bit lazier. And so if you have that grit, you have that mentality that, you don't want it to just be easy, then you can have an advantage for sure.
I mean, the last thing that I would ever want is for us to become like Wall-E, right? Like that's what I think of when you're describing this, of just how lazy people are and how complacent we are to just let life happen around us.
Yeah.
And that's so sad. It's
sad. Like, I don't want to get ready to go to dinner. I just want to order it in. And then you're getting complacent. And then you lose opportunities to go meet people. There's so many times we'll meet people going to dinner and someone sitting next to you, you'll strike up a conversation or just being around people. But like, so many people have become complacent and just like, I don't want to do the work to go get up and drive and go here. Then it's a problem in our society for sure.
I wonder how we shift that. I don't even know. I guess.
No, I think it's great. You let the people that are going to do that, they're going to have a less of an advantage. Yeah, they're going to have the hard times because you choose your hard, right? You choose your hard today or later. So like, it's like working out. If you choose your hard now and work out when you're this age, you're going to have a lot easier time than if you would wait. And then you're going to be suffering. You're not going to have the strength to go visit a friend or when you're in the older ages because you never put in the hard work young. So you're going to have a hard time later. So I think people don't realize that you got to put the heart in now always and just keep doing it, Yeah,
because it doesn't get easier. It's not that it gets easier, it gets harder. It really does. But it's that muscle memory, right? Like I got really sick about a year ago and got like a wild bacterial infection in my intestines. It was gross. It was a whole thing. It was wild. But it took me about 6 months to heal from that.
Wow.
And in that time, even though I tried to keep my workouts the same, they weren't. They couldn't be. Like I was fighting. Fighting to get out of bed every day, let alone to get down and be like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to work out. But once I was able to recommit to it, the muscle memory was still there.
Right, because you'd done the hard work earlier.
Yes. It came back a lot faster than if I hadn't put those into place.
True.
So it's never too late. It's just, it's going to take a lot of work. And
if it's tomorrow, it's too late. It's always got to be today.
Yeah.
Because people, I'll put it off till tomorrow. I'll start my thing tomorrow. I'll start doing that hard thing tomorrow. It's always too late if it's tomorrow. If it's today, then do it. And then you're one step ahead.
No, you're so right. Let me ask you about your podcast, if I can. So you've been doing the podcast for 3 years?
I don't even know. It's been
a lot of episodes.
Yeah, 124, I think. Yeah, I started doing this thing called the Mortgage Minute.
Okay.
They call it the $1 Million Mortgage Minute, and it was really short. And part of that minute was like the intro, which nobody watches intros. They want to skip past them.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that. And then it was always just like one nugget about how to get more business.
Okay.
And we were really trying to add value to brokers so that they could go, oh, wait, I'm now interviewing really quickly a CPA. What's your best tip for a mortgage broker? And it was like 1 minute long. And we actually got sponsored by, I think it was NMP magazine. So we were like on their website and it was going really well. And then, I'm a fan of Joe Rogan. So I was watching some of his podcasts and I was like, I need to do a longer form because then we can cut it up into clips. And then, so that's what we do. We do 1 hour usually. And then we cut it up into clips so that, there's little nuggets that people can watch. And I think a lot of people don't like long form, but it's getting more popular because it's hard to commit to, an hour and a half listening to a podcast unless you have a long commute.
Right.
Or you're in the middle of a workout or you're doing something that takes you that long. But you got to spike people's interest by doing little clips. And that's what Ryan does an amazing job at. And I think he uses a little AI, so I think he has help. But
everyone needs a little AI.
Yeah, and it's been fun. I mean, I just love having conversations with new people that I've never met and listening to how they're getting business and how they have success in their life. And so I'm learning while we're doing these, and hopefully our listeners all get something out of it. And that's why I do it, because it ultimately is to see if FundLoans can get business, but at the same time, if we're not adding value to someone's life, they're not going to listen. And
right.
Maybe they'll send a loan to FundLoans because they like it. I don't know. That's what we hope for.
I love that. Similar vein. So NMP, I have a little segment that I do for them.
Nice.
And it's very comparable to that. It's Max Combos. So it's these just kind of condensed interviews where we really quickly go through, hey, what are you seeing? What's going on out there?
Nice.
What are you doing for this? And finding that value that you can bring to other people, that is what keeps people coming back.
Totally.
So good for you for finding a format that works for you. And you're right. I think the TikTok kind of dynamic of everyone just went to really short form is now kind of shifting again.
I love TikTok. My kids got me into it, and now like everyone thinks it's just like dancing nurses or dance. You know, I don't see any of that. I see all like really the information that I want, and it feeds it to me, and it knows what I want, and I can get lost in it. So I got to limit it. So I have a little timer that I only give myself 30 minutes a day or whatever. But it is, you get a lot of, I get some of my news on there and clips of things that are going on around the world. So I can kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world. I'll get like stuff that you'll never see on the news, but it's like on foreign news or something. And then I follow some mortgage people, just like Logan, who I've had on the podcast. Have you met Logan Mordashami? Shout out to Logan. He's his finger on the pulse on the rates. He's great. He was on one podcast we had a few times back. But TikTok is just, if you want quick information and you want interesting stuff, that it takes a little time for you to build up kind of the feed of what it feeds you, because it'll know, like if you just skip something, I'm not going to show you that anymore or less of that. And then if you watch the whole thing, just like anything, it'll give you more of that. And if you like it, it does it even more. So it really becomes this perfect feed of what you're interested in.
The algorithm is so smart.
Do you do TikTok?
I mean, again, do is a strong term. I have a TikTok, but I neglect it.
You better get one so I can tag you on these clips.
Right? I'm telling you, I have it. It's not good, but I have it. It's out there.
There's a lot of people on TikTok. I think Instagram is still probably maybe the biggest for a certain demographic. I don't know, but we do Instagram. Yeah. I mean, I don't even have Facebook anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Like at all?
At all. I don't like it. I got kicked off of it because I was too vocal during the pandemic, but whatever. It's like one less thing I need to worry about. So
right.
Plus Facebook I just felt like it was a little toxic.
Yeah.
No,
I would agree. I feel like its algorithm is a little more on the negative side. It tends to kind of keep that bad news circulating. Yeah. And I don't love that either.
You can just skip it and then it'll probably change. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been on it forever, but
I know I'm not huge on social media in general.
Yeah.
I know that I need to be.
What's everyone's eyes? Everyone's eyes are on the social media. So, when people say billboards are outdated, it's true, because no one's, even when they're driving, they're not looking at billboards. They're looking at their phone. You're like, who? This guy's crazy. He's going to get in an accident, right? Like they're just driving and they're like looking at their phone. So, people now are on the gym and they have like a thing that they use on their thumb and it like swipes, so they're like working out and they're just doing this. Yeah.
That blows my mind. I'm so cognizant about it just because, again, I have a daughter.
Sure.
I don't want her to think that her identity is tied up in what other people think of her. It's taken me so long to really fight to even just find my own.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is for her to think that she needs to model her behavior against someone else's. But again, it is where business gets done now.
Well, I think at least it gets people's attention.
Yeah.
Right. And from there, you can sort of track it to come to your, so there's ways you can do it, that brings people in. We track some of that, but if you're not doing it, you're forgotten about.
Yeah.
And because other people are doing it, and
it's a social bias.
Yeah.
Of just seeing someone's face and being so familiar with them that you actually think that you know them, and then you see them out there and you're like, oh, wait a second, I don't actually know you, but now I feel like we're friends.
But that opens up doors for people to approach you, which is huge. So if you're not on it, then they don't recognize you, then maybe they won't approach you, right? Which you want that to get more business. And so I think it helps a lot for if you want to get business and you put yourself out there, people, oh, I follow you. Oh, no, then you can talk, and then, you know, maybe you get some business out of it.
Clear my own negative bias towards it and really just figure out how to lean in fully, how to embrace it. I am such a believer in championing, just like championing.
It's a hard word.
That is hard. And that is hard. Finding ways to support other people. There we go. That's a lot easier to say.
Easier.
And I think that is an area that is underutilized for that, of just getting out there and giving people a shout out.
Right.
So maybe that's how I'm going to shift my own perspective with it, of being like, okay, well, rather than selfishly use it, let me use it to hopefully drive engagement to other people.
That's cool.
Share content. I don't know. I like bouncing it off of other industry professionals, because I'm like, okay, non-QM space, right?
Right.
You at least kind of have the benefit of having these fun jumbo deals.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're fun. They're fun. People see them.
They're sexy. You look and see, like, this guy's got an amazing pool and amazing, like, house, and you're like, wow, I like to look at that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like, that's a lot easier to try to make appealing.
Plus, the commissions are bigger.
Yeah. I mean, no one's
Same amount of
mad
work,
at that.
bigger commission. Come on.
No one's mad at that.
Right.
It's just trying to figure out how to balance a social media life, a real life, and your business life.
It's a challenge for sure.
It is.
So what else do you do to attribute to your success? So you said you work out, like, that gives you energy probably, and gives you strength, gives you confidence. And what else do you do? Like, what would you recommend to people to start doing if they're not doing it that you do?
Meditation, number one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been meditating for
3
years.
minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
I mean, it depends on how practiced I am at it.
Yeah.
I'll get really, really good and really solid in my routine, and I'll get up to 45 minutes easy.
Really?
No problem
No
at all.
phone, just you and the
Just
world,
me.
the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do like to use crystals too. I know that's like out there and
Do
kind
you
of
bring
woo-woo.
your crystals into your meditation?
Yeah.
Talk
absolutely.
about that. What is that?
Okay. So I have just a literal bowl full of crystals, and everything from quartz to like Apache tears, all of the different things that, depending on what I'm feeling like I need to draw from, that's what I'll go to.
You just hold it? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually I take a couple in of like my positive energy, the things that I'm like, okay, I need malachite, I need pyrite, I need these ones that I want to fill that are going to help me push myself in my business, right? Get into that real business mindset. And then in this hand, I always hold my absorbers. So the ones that draw the negativity and let that hold in this hand. So sitting there, wrapped up in my meditation, and it's really cute now. My daughter makes sure to tell me every time there's a full moon so that we can charge our crystals. I'm like, I love that we've created this fun, like, trying to be hippie household.
Right.
But meditation, for sure.
Okay.
Again, depending on how practiced I am, it's so easy to fall out of routines with it. But now that I'm on the road so much, having to create different meditative times and meditative states wherever I'm at. And so now maybe it's on the airplane. So I never watch shows or movies when I'm on the plane. I either try to read. Sometimes I have to catch up on emails, so I'll do that then.
Sure.
But otherwise, I like to read, and I like to look out the window, and I like to take that as a time to just kind of get my thoughts to just be quiet. So love meditation. Years ago, I got into acupuncture.
Okay.
And that was a game changer, a huge game changer for me.
How so?
That's how I got my daughter.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
The acupuncturist got me pregnant. No, just kidding. The acupuncturist didn't get me pregnant. But I had struggled with infertility for 7 years.
Okay.
And had been told since I was young that I would never be able to have babies.
Wow.
And after one visit. Literally.
Really?
One visit. I was like, wait, whoa, hold on. So have implemented that in other ways and have just worked with the same acupuncturist now for over a decade. We work on immune system, obviously, and just letting your chi kind of all align. Feels really, really good, really cool. I love manifesting. I love getting into
my
that.
favorite thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
it's real. I mean, I
so
would
real,
bet my whole life. I mean, it's so real.
It's so real. And it's so wild the way that you see it start to unfold when you actually are cognizant of it. When you call things to you. And sometimes you don't even know that that's what you've done until you're reflecting back and can realize, oh, wait a second, that's what I was doing.
True.
I've been doing shadow work lately.
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's gross and it's sticky and it hurts like hell. It's really just going back into your past traumas, right? Really unearthing them, doing like a full excavating dig on what makes you you, what brought you to this place.
Is that inside of meditation or is that separate?
It's all of the above. It's all of the above. I have different meditations that I do when I kind of need to go deep into those zones. There's journaling. There's different just ego work too, of understanding that the world is so much bigger than what we think it is. Yeah. But at the same time is also so small and we're all so interconnected and we're all just these giant beams of energy that feel drawn to each other for one reason or another. And really figuring out how to harness that and allow it to be its own channel so that those right opportunities can come along. I mean, I can nerd out about this all day because I love it so much. It's changed everything for me. What about you? Like, what are your...
Well, when you say shadow,
right?
What shadow? What
shadow work?
Shadow work. I did a breath work thing, and I feel like the shadow work was being done during that time. And you get into the state, like a real, like totally different state of mind when you're doing the breath work. And I was able to deal with some past traumas, and it was like life changing for sure. So when I hear you say that, I'm like, well, I did that with breath work. So that's why I was asking, do you do it in meditation or do you just like, how would you do shadow work? Like, I don't understand it other than breath work. Yeah.
Breath work, meditation, working with, I have a really amazing psychiatrist who is also an energy worker. She's been another just game changer in my life. I've worked with her now for 11 years and just helps to, when you start to have kind of those gross, sticky, icky things that come out, right? Having someone who has the tools at their disposal to help clear them from you so that you're able to actually process and move on. We all carry so much on us, and particularly anyone who lived through the last 4 years. I mean,
trauma.
Talk
the
about
interest rate
trauma.
Apocalypse.
There was that. There was so much just transitioning happening in the world. That
COVID was traumatic. I'm just feeling like your world is now your house, and that's all you got. And some people live in a little apartment, and they can't go outside. Like, that's traumatic.
Yeah. I mean, think back to when everything was starting to really come out, right? And how scary it was and how nervous people were and how...
People couldn't even see their grandparents or their loved one that was having a baby. You couldn't be a part of that. It was... Don't get me started.
It was traumatic. My grandmother passed away like 2 weeks into lockdown. And it was horrible.
Couldn't even have a funeral.
We couldn't have a funeral. I couldn't hug my own mother. I mean, it was
just terrible.
It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. So to have gone through that, I feel like all of us who lived through that, and we came out on the other side, right? but it doesn't mean that trauma didn't still occur. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to come out in other ways.
Yeah.
I'm to the point now of just being like, no, let's unearth it. Let's say goodbye to it. I want to move on. I want to feel light. And
but don't forget, because if you forget, it will repeat, right? The people who forget the past, they repeat it. So, I mean, I'm 50. At the time I was like 49 or whatever. And I was like, I'm healthy. So I was just like anti-COVID. That's probably why I got kicked off Facebook. I mean, I knew it was bad for older people and people with, that were obese or whatever. They had a way worse chance of surviving it. But I was just like, we traveled and we went, to Mexico a bunch, which was way looser. And they had other medicines that you could take that were fine, and helping people. So I was like completely like, didn't let it affect me as much. But I can see where I've lost friends because so many people were so scared of it. And, we look back and it was like, well, it was bad. A lot of people died, but, you still have to live.
Yeah.
You still have to live. And I don't ever want to go back to that.
No.
It's like.
No, and so sad how many people did lose friends or like connections with family over it. Where now it's
it was politicized, totally politicized, which it didn't need to be, but it was,
I had to really like eat my own words over it and go back and make apologies to people for being like, I am so sorry that I thought that I was making the right choice, that we thought we knew what the right choice was and we didn't.
Nobody did, really. I mean, some people were like, I don't trust the government, so I'm not going to listen to any of this crap. But, you had the total swing of that versus every single thing that came out of Fauci's mouth was a God, from heaven, and you had to listen to which he didn't even know. You go back and now he even admits like he didn't know and he changed. So a whole nother conversation, right? But I just think we learn from it. You don't want to forget it, but you move on from it, but learn that like, we got to live. We have to live because you never know when your last day is. I just found out today that someone I knew passed away. He was like 45 suddenly, and he has 4 daughters, and it was like so sad. Like, and I'm like, you never know what your last day is. You never know. So you got to live. You can't be afraid of, because you might just die in your sleep. You might just die from a car accident. There's no reason to be afraid.
No, I completely agree. Like I like to make very calculated choices.
Sure.
I'm a very calculated person. But I've learned that I don't have to take everything so serious.
That's good.
That life doesn't, life doesn't have to be so serious. And that has been part of what I've unearthed is, being forced to grow up really young.
Yeah.
And letting that shape the way that I then approached all of my decisions and all of my interactions and just being so, I guess, just tight in my approach. And now being on the other side of that, of being like, okay, I'm closer to 40 than I'm not. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I want to have fun in this decade. It's
a good decade.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in 40s.
30s have been so good to me.
It's good.
They have. 30s have been so good. Ryan, get ready for 30s. They're so good. You're going to love them. But,
31.
Oh, okay, perfect.
He's already in it.
It just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better.
He just looks like a kid.
Yeah. The 30s have been good. 30s have been good. But I'm excited for 40 because I feel like if it just keeps getting better, which is what it's done, why would it stop now?
Well, I think it's like the mortgage business. It builds on it. So in your 30s are good. You did good, you made right decisions. Then your 40s are going to be even better because you made right decisions. And then your 50s are even better. It's like, if you make bad decisions, you keep screwing up, and then you're going to have tougher times in your 40s. And then you're going to, you know what I mean? So like the mortgage business, you do the right thing to all your clients, you follow up. It's going to be easier. You're going to get more referrals, and it just snowballs and it gets better and better. So I think that's why a lot of people have the most success in their later years because they've done all this groundwork to, I think my 40s were they were my most successful years, and my 50s I think are going to be even more successful because in the 30s, I call people back. I did the right thing. I didn't, wasn't greedy. And, you make good choices. And then, God forbid any crazy black swans happen, but you just build on those things and your reputation lasts and you keep going and it just gets better and better and you build your business better. And then opportunities come because more people and things that you've done right, continue to benefit you as you go in your future. It's kind of magical how that happens, It's cool to see it happen and it's almost it catches you by surprise sometimes where you're like, oh, that came easy, but it's because you put in all this work,
Yeah.
And if you don't put in that work, then you'll still have these problems, but it takes hard work.
No, you're so right. I like that mindset of thinking of your 20s and 30s as being your reputation building years.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It is.
And then letting your 40s and your 50s be the time that you get to really reap all of that hard work.
Right.
And watch it come in and let it be easier during that time because you were willing to work so hard for it.
Right.
So, yeah, I like that. That's good.
We're out of time, but do you have any shout outs besides Brandon?
Yeah, I know. Brandon's the coolest.
He's the coolest. I can't wait to meet him.
He's the best. Shout outs to Brandon. Shout outs to my babes in Utah and to everyone who comes out and supports us at these classes. I couldn't do it without them.
Give a quick 10-second, 30-second elevator pitch on why people should come to your events.
Sure. Okay. So to get the education that we all know that you need, why not do it in a fun, caring environment where you can learn from industry professionals and actually walk away with something that might help you get another deal?
Yeah.
I'd do it.
And meet some people.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Absolutely.
Good. We'll put all your links and stuff in the
Perfect. I promise to post things to TikTok. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for watching, and please follow her and tell your friends about our podcast so that we can grow, and let us know what you want to see in the next podcast in the comments. Thanks. See you next time.
The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.